Hi, thanks for joining me. This is Josh Leonard on behalf of myself and Thomas Harper speaking about the Federal Work Study Program at UNC. And this is the second part of a three-part presentation regarding the annual overview and updates. This was originally done back in May 2018. So this part of the presentation deals exclusively with large new initiatives that we're bringing out for 18-19. These are all things that were either inspired by data from the annual survey, requests from supervisors, or some information from outside of the department about new opportunities to make things better for work study students and supervisors. There are 4 problems and solutions that we're going to talk about today, but really we don't want to call them problems because they've led to some great new initiatives, and we're going to call them opportunities and solutions. The first one is that we saw a disconnect between students seeking professional development opportunities in these positions and those finding them. This is especially true for those jobs that are centered around research. Students looking for a position that will help them grow as professionals just aren't finding as many opportunities as they're looking for. 2, we have a number of work study students who, because of changes to their financial situation, become ineligible to participate in federal work study. And we also have a fair number of students who would like to participate in federal work study but simply have never qualified for the program. 3, there is a disconnect in terms of students recognizing that they're building skills in these positions and the fact that they are actually building skills. So students are learning and growing, but they don't realize it. And then there's a national trend on making work study into a skill building, professional development set of opportunities at colleges and universities across the country. And 4th, there's a lot of issues surrounding disconnects. Students not having their applications answered, supervisors saying that there are too many applications to be answered, people having problems devoting time to finding and bringing in new students for new positions, even though supervisors and students are both looking to make that happen. So today we're going to unveil the initiatives that we're rolling out for 18-19 that are going to conquer all 4 of these issues. The first one is a program I'd like to call IRIS. The Institutional Research Initiative for Students is a partnership between my office, Scholarships and Student Aid, and the Office for Undergraduate Research. Both of those offices are right across McCorkle Place, and we found a very interesting and amazing way to try and make more opportunities for students in research in and around the UNC campus. For those of you who just came from the first part of this presentation, you might remember this slide. We asked students during the annual survey 2 questions. Is it important to you that your employment is related to your academic, professional, and personal goals? And is your employment actually related to your academic, professional, and personal goals? And the survey data shows that we have more students interested in meaningful employment than are actually finding that employment. This is especially true in research categories. And as you can see here, an excerpt from the Federal Student Aid Handbook, we are highly encouraged to make practical opportunities that will reinforce and complement students' educational program career goals, which we've measured on the survey as academic, professional, and personal goals. So we know there are more students looking for these meaningful professional development experiences in research opportunities and not finding them, so we need to create more of those. Put another way, we have a lot of students who are looking for meaningful research opportunities, but they're not finding them. So then they have to make a choice between finding another position and being able to, in some cases, feed themselves, or going ahead and taking a voluntary position in research to promote them or promote the skills that they would need to become professionals in their chosen field. Right now, it's an either-or question for these students, and we really want to use IRIS to turn this into an and question, where they have the professional development opportunities and can utilize the funding that they're paid to participate to fund themselves. Now, we know that UNC is a campus, and our leadership are supportive of this concept. The Connecting, Doing, Making QEP actually has the goal of giving all undergraduate students an opportunity to participate in research. And through the QEP research, we know that low-income students, like those enrolled in the work study program, are especially vulnerable and need a little more help in this program. IRIS aims to take those students who are in the federal work study program and fit this category and utilize the program to help them find meaningful opportunities in line with the campus direction. So what this would look like in pictures is here's the Office of Scholarships and Student Aid and my program, Work Study. It's really not that big of a part of the office, but for the purpose of this presentation, it makes it look pretty good. And here is the Office for Undergraduate Research, and you can see the two don't really overlap on a lot of fronts here. So what we've done together is we've created IRIS, which is a program within Work Study, but it has a lot of back and forth between the undergraduate research program and our office. This is in the form of things like work study students being able to attend workshops put on by the Office for Undergraduate Research as part of the students' work study duties. Marketing and communication being done on behalf of the Office for Undergraduate Research, and OUR supplying some funding so that students can actually continue their research participation and studies over the summer here at UNC. We've been asking for a couple of years whether students would be interested in this program. You can see in front of you the data from 2017, where 67% of the students who were asked would they participate in this program said yes. And these are representative across disciplines, majors, and academic areas, much in line with the student population. We asked that same question to supervisors about would they be interested in participating, and where 67% of the students said they would definitely be interested, only about 37% of supervisors last year were willing to participate in the IRIS program. We don't necessarily need one supervisor for each student, but the disconnect between the two was rather large. We asked the same question in 2018 to students, are you interested in participating in IRIS? And you can see it's not quite 67%, it's 64% in this survey, but still a very high number. Around 2/3 of students would love to undertake these meaningful research experiences. And again, we saw a trend where a lower number of supervisors were wanting to participate in this program, only about 44%, well short of that 2/3 we looked at with the students. We know these programs have proven very successful at other institutions. You can see two of our peers there, University of Michigan and University of Virginia. Both have well-established programs in Europe and use SOAR. And George Mason University also has this wonderful undergraduate research scholars program. And George Mason did something the other two programs didn't really do, is they published and they did a scientific study of their data. Here is the article from CUR Quarterly about what George Mason did in creating their program. As you can see, they assessed a number of motivational factors, attitudes, and they found some very interesting data that they hadn't planned on. They found that creating this program and opening up to work study students actually disproportionately provided opportunities to underrepresented students in different ethnicities and generational standings, and was also positively associated with providing opportunities for females, which is absolutely fantastic in terms of providing benefits beyond just the financial piece to students who may not necessarily be typically targeted for these types of research opportunities. We've been marketing this program since spring 2018 to participants in the program who already supervise research opportunities, as well as a number of professionals at UNC who oversee research laboratories and grant administrations, those sorts of things. And currently we have over 260 people who have signed on to be IRIS participants for 18-19. We're estimating that's going to lead to over 385 new positions in addition to the positions we already have for research opportunities in the work study program. And this program will officially start in fall 2018, so look forward to next year's annual survey containing information about the growth of research opportunities at UNC. So IRIS takes care of that first opportunity. The second one, we have work study students who want to participate in the program but either never qualified in the first place or previously qualified, but a change in their finances has prevented them from remaining with the work study program. So the initiative that we're using to sort of counter this issue is called Carolina Works. And Carolina Works works a little like this. If you think of this as the population of undergraduate students at UNC, about 60% of those students are actually interested in financial aid and 40% are not. And of the 60% who aren't interested, if we sort of scale them out from those students with the least amount of resources to the students with the most amount of resources, you can see that we have on the very low end, our Covenant students are well taken care of and they're all automatically enrolled in the work study program. The students who have just a few more resources than our Covenant program, they are admitted to the work-study program if they indicate an interest in doing so on the FAFSA. And then we have this group up at the far end, the high resource end, who request financial aid, but they financially don't have any need. They don't really qualify for any of our programs other than some special loans. But there's this little gap in between of students who really don't qualify for federal work study, but they do qualify for need-based aid, meaning they have less resources than it takes to go to school, and they've indicated that they want to work. So Carolina Works, with the support of a very generous gift by Erskine Bowles and the Triangle Foundation, will be providing funding for a new opportunity for these students who don't qualify for federal work study but do want to work and do have need. And we're going to be able to provide over 140 of those students with the ability to participate in a work study position during 18-19. Now the program is going to run parallel with the federal work study program, which means that Thomas and I will be overseeing the program. Supervisors who are interested will still go through the same training, utilize the same software, operate on the same schedule, so it minimizes the amount of jarring shift. In a lot of ways, it is just bringing more people into the work study process and allowing more students in a slightly different program to be a part of the system. A few reasons why participants, supervisors would want to join. Number one, this program's not subject to federal regulations, just institutional ones. So federal regulations which prevent students from doing things like driving or working over certain holidays or working virtually, those no longer apply. The students are still subject to an institutional requirement in that they're limited to 20 hours per week and a few other things, like we can't allow students to work in unsafe environments. But if you had an opportunity that really required students to work remotely or virtually or drive or do a number of other things, this would be a fantastic opportunity for you. Number two, Carolina Works is actually 50% subsidized. So we're not just creating a program, but we're actually funneling money into that program. So these students who previously either had to volunteer or work in opportunities where the employer provided 100% of the wages will now have their wages 50% subsidized using the funding talked about on the previous slide from Mr. Bowles and the Triangle Foundation. Three, this is a pilot year for the program. We really are looking forward to having it and making it a big success. But as part of the opportunity to try and expand these positions to students who we know have worked in the program and would like to be a part of, or excuse me, have worked through work study, no longer qualify, and really would like to keep working and would be a good fit for Carolina Works, we are accepting nominations. Supervisors simply need to send the student's name and PID to work-study@unc.edu, and we will evaluate each student to see if they're eligible for Carolina Works, and if they are, we'll put them on the list for repackaging, which will happen a little later this summer. And fourth and finally, the big thing behind Carolina Works is it's actually a fall, spring, summer program, meaning because of the generous donations that have funded the program and going at a 50% subsidy instead of 100%, we actually have enough funding to allow students to work into the summer, which is something that's been requested for several years. So if you have a position that you know is going to be heavily skewed, there's a lot of work and you're going to need somebody over the summer, Carolina Works will have opportunities for students who are going to school over the summer to continue with the work study program during summer 2019. So if you're interested in joining as a supervisor, you need to complete your annual training and registration, which means going out to the Sky site, reading over the 2 mandatory trainings, completing the annual quiz, and if you're a new supervisor, filling out the registration form. If you need any help on finding out how to do that, please just email my team at work-study@unc.edu. Thomas and I will be more than happy to help you. Once you have done all that and gain access to the JobX system, anytime you go to create a new position, it's going to ask you, do you want to create a Carolina Works on-campus position or off-campus, depending on whether you're an on-campus or off-campus employer. You simply select, yes, this needs to be a Carolina Works on-campus or off-campus position. Go through the normal steps of creating a position, and it will be selectively displayed only to work study participants who have a Carolina Works award. So students who are just looking through the general positions can see it, but when the students start to apply and have to log in and use their credentials to get into the system, Carolina Works students will only see Carolina Works positions. And then the employer match is automatically going to be handled around the midpoint and the end of each semester. We'll be providing a larger overview about that and how the program will work a little later on this summer. All right, so our third opportunity to do better is this disconnect between students actually building skills and not realizing that they're building skills as part of their college. And again, we've done a partnership with University Career Services to try and tackle this issue. So this particular new initiative is called the Skill Alignment Program. And if you look through the Chronicle of Higher Education, this is motivation for why we bring this program around. You can see that in the reports, in their headlines, in the articles, there is a lot of discussion about moving the federal work-study program and work-study programs in colleges in general to being this professional development-centered skill-building opportunity, which is something we've been doing. Again, our positions have been great. If you look at the annual survey data, or the previous presentation, in fact, on helping students to build their skills. But we're not doing a great job of helping students understand that they're building skills and to communicate that information. That's where the Skill Alignment Program comes into play. So we took these 8 competencies from University Career Services that they say that all employers are looking for students to have during the hiring process. We took those categories and we developed 139 employer-desired specific skills, grouped them, and listed them out in JobX. And starting with the 18-19 year, anytime a supervisor creates a new position, we are requiring that a supervisor choose at least 3 of these skills as part of the posting. Students will then be able to search on these skills if they're trying to build something in particular, or they're going to be able to just simply see these skills as they're reading through the postings. Students who are hired into the program will then be able to take the job posting which lists those skills and their work-study evaluations, which will be done at the end of each semester, and show the students' progress with that skill. And they can go to University Career Services and sit down and talk to an advisor about how to build these skills into their resumes, their cover letters, their portfolios, so that they can have these skills listed and clearly visible to employers who are looking for students with these particular skills. In other words, we're not doing anything different in terms of building out the positions. Students will still be doing what they've been doing in the program, but what we're doing with the Skill Alignment Program is making the skill building and the growth more visible and connecting the work-study programs at UNC with University Career Services in helping students show that growth in those skills on their application and job search materials. All right, and the last opportunity that we're going to discuss today is a new program. This boils down to trying to make it easier for students to find jobs and try to make it easier on supervisors so they don't have to review as many applicants in order to place their jobs. So in a way, we're trying to make it so that everybody finds the job that they're looking for a little easier and sort of remove some of the noise from that system. And we're calling this the Early Rehire Program. The Early Rehire Program is based largely on supervisor feedback and some very interesting things from the annual survey. You can see from the graph in front of you that around a third of the students will return to the same position with the same department that they had in the year before, that they really like it. They also say that students have a lot of complaints around communication applications. They're not hearing back as quickly or as often or even as much as they would like to be students when they're applying jobs I'm referring to. We also know that supervisors are a little frustrated with having a lot of extra applications that they don't need, especially in cases where maybe they're posting a job for a specific student. And we've actually did in our site visits and our interviews and talking to students, found that some of them sort of experience almost decision paralysis when they start looking at jobs because there's just so many opportunities out there and it's so overwhelming. So we're going to try and solve all of these with the Early Rehire Program. And that program is going to work like this. Supervisors who do what they're supposed to in terms of submitting a job by June 30th, that is our priority job posting deadline. If they submit a job to JobX, will receive an email on July 9th. And the email is going to go out to the entire listserv, and it's going to say, if you submitted your job by June 30th, you now have an opportunity to tell us about any students who you're rehiring who intend to come back to the same position who you would like to hire. And as a response to that July 9th email, supervisors by July 23rd will send us just 4 things. The JobX job ID of the position they'll be rehiring the student into, the student's PID, the student's full name, and confirmation that they have spoken or emailed or texted with the student and that they want to come back to that same job for fall 2018. Supervisors who send us all that information by July 23rd will have a special treat that on July 30th we're going to open JobX 2 days early just to these students who are returning to the position. So to make that perfectly clear, JobX is not opening to everybody on July 30th. It's just the students who have been confirmed as returning to their same position by supervisors through the early rehire email communication. On July 30th, these students will be able to log into JobX and submit an application. And then on July 31st, students can actually rehire these students following standard protocols, which means that when the system opens to new work-study students on August 1st, these positions that are intended strictly for student rehires will be closed. The students who know they're returning to the same position will be there, and this should cut down on the number of superfluous applications to positions for which supervisors aren't really looking for new opportunities, as well as making it easier for new students to see the opportunities out there that are intended specifically for new students. So again, the big takeaway here is if you're a supervisor and you'd like to participate in the early rehire program, you need to make sure that you have submitted your job by June 30th. And then you need to respond to the July 9th email by July 23rd, confirming all of the information listed on the screen in front of you. All right, that's it for this part of the program. I hope you'll stick with us. We have one more section left about updates and changes to the rules and regulations. Of course, you can view this presentation and all the others in this series, as well as a number of really helpful resources by going to the JobX site. The URL is right there in front of you, or you can simply Google UNC Work Study. Click on the link in the middle of the page for work study supervisors to see all of the trainings, details, and resources. Alternatively, if you have a question about anything to do with the work study program, including potentially some interest in being a part of our program, you can email Mr. Harper and myself at work-study@unc.edu. Thank you so much, and have a great day.